When it comes to web and UI design, there are definitely some industry standards and some industry non-standards. There are do's and there are don'ts. And the real challenge is knowing when to do the do's and not do the don'ts. Confusing, right? Well, let me make it really simple. In this video, I'm going to break down 5 of the biggest do's and don'ts when it comes to UI design. Before we get too far, this video is sponsored by Freeflow.ai. Freeflow has taken a different direction when it comes to royalty-free or stock images. They're doing 100% royalty-free AI-generated images. One of the things that's hard about royalty-free or stock imagery is that sometimes you find an image and it's like 90% there. It's almost perfect. If that image just had different clouds, if it was a beach instead of a jungle, if the model was blonde instead of brunette. Well, Freeflow solves that issue by not only offering you the image, but you can also get the text-based prompt, use that text-based prompt inside of an AI tool like Midjourney, and then you can tweak and change to your liking. I started using Freeflow for my client projects, and my clients are absolutely loving it because the images are super unique. They're very different. They're not that canned, horrific stock photography that we've all seen time and time again, but they're very dialed in to my clients or the product's specific needs. You should definitely check it out. It's amazing. It's 100% free. All you got to do is head over to freeflow.ai. The link is down in the description. All right, first up, we have the issue of readability. Do make sure that all of your text is legible. It's readable. It has good contrast. Don't try to be so creative and use some sort of off black or light gray that it actually disrupts the user's ability to read your text. You can see the difference between these two cards. Just make sure you run things through a contrast checker. Make sure that the contrast is good and that your text is legible. The issue of button padding or button white space is a very serious issue. You can see the two examples of the button that I have here on screen. One of them is a good experience and one of them is not, and for two really big reasons. Number one, when you don't apply proper white space or padding to your buttons, you make them less tappable, less usable, a harder touch or target point for your users to actually interact with. Number two, you affect the legibility of the label inside the button. You can see this squeezed or squished button here on the left-hand side that has no padding on the left and right-hand side. It's actually affecting the legibility of this button. Just make sure your buttons are comfy and spacious. Apply some white space or padding. And if you really want to be snazzy, make sure you're implementing an 8-pixel grid with a 4-pixel baseline. Everything will be locked in and perfect. Let's talk next about a huge issue, which is building really usable, really functional forms. And one of the biggest mistakes you can make is to ignore the tried and true practice of single column forms as much as possible. You'll see our example here on the left-hand side has tried to side by side a lot of these form fields like first name, last name, email, and confirming email. We have the country or area code as well as the phone number. This is a no-no. You want to try to stay away from this practice as much as possible. You want to try to instead keep things really simple with these single column forms, first name, last name, email. Now there is a time and a place where if elements are contextually relevant enough, you can put them side by side. For instance, an area or country code is always associated with a phone number. But some of the big problems we run into when we don't abide by this single column form field structure is that we limit the space that a user has to input their information. And it also makes it very jarring and distracting on where the user should look, where should they go next, left to right, right to left, top to bottom, and then to column number 2. Instead, make it as easy, seamless, and spacious as possible by implementing these single column form fields as much as you possibly can. Making sure that the border radiuses of your buttons are matching the rest of your interface is one of those small things you can do to get a huge impact or a huge return on your investment of time. You can see in the card we have here on the left, we have kind of a pill style button, completely rounded. And then we have a card that it is right there directly in context of that has something like a 4 or 8 pixel border radius. Now, this isn't necessarily the worst thing could ever happen, but when you compare it to this button and this card that have matching border radiuses, 8 pixels on the button, 8 pixels on the card, the entire thing just seems like a puzzle that belongs together, like pieces that fit. So as much as possible, if you want to make your interfaces look a little bit more elegant and a little bit more thought out and mature, just make sure you match those border radiuses. Last tip of the day is to make sure you stay away from using uppercase for your call to actions and always use title case. You can see in the example we have on screen, this may seem like a good idea. It's like we're saying, hey, this is more important. The button, the label here is uppercase. Look at me. If the call to action is done well, it's already doing enough work. As long as it is some sort of primary color that's reserved for these call to actions, it's the right padding, the right size, all of that, then you don't need to over accentuate by using uppercase for your labels. Stick to using standard title case. Now, the reason you want to do this is because title case is easier to read. It adds that little bit of emphasis by uppercasing the first letter in each word, but it doesn't overextend it so much where it becomes hard to read or illegible. So make sure you use title case, stay away from uppercase. It's not a good idea. Well, that's it. Those are some do's and don'ts when it comes to UI design. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to leave a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and ring that bell so you know when more videos like this one come out. Check the description for some helpful links about UI design and web design, as well as a link to freeflow.ai so you can start using some amazing AI generated images in your design work. I hope you're having an amazing week. I hope you're designing amazing things, making amazing things, and doing more do's and a little less of the don'ts. We'll see you in the next one.